Your speech is Alec Greenhalgh. Good morning. Going into high school, I was optimistic about the challenges that lay ahead of me. However, I was faced with a challenge over which I had no control and I was unable to overcome. Alec, you are too small. Yes, I went to Council Rock High School North, sporting a 4'10", 80-pound frame. In middle school, I was on the small side of average, but on the first day of high school classes, I soon realized I was the smallest, shortest, youngest-looking student in the entire school of 2,400. Worse, I was treated as a small kid. I felt intimidated by both my upperclassmen and my peers. There were many days where I came home upset and had to tell my parents it was impossible to talk to a girl without her thinking I was friends with her little brother. A particularly low point came when a 6', 180-pound classmate approached me after school, intimidating me by standing over me. I couldn't really tell if he was mad at me or if I had done something wrong, so I just stood there all 4'10" of me, looking up at him until he said, "I don't like you." My high-pitched voice responded back, "Okay," and ran away. Soccer, which had always been my haven, became a source of discomfort and anxiety. After being a middle school star, I was a varsity bench warmer for most of my freshman soccer season. Even though I scored a goal within 5 minutes of entering our 7th game, I was back riding the pine for game 8 because of my height. I struggled to accept my situation. As a freshman, I was prepared to sit for my inferior ability or immature play, but not for being too small. My coach just had a thing for tall guys. Social pressures and soccer disappointments began to erode my self-confidence. I had always been an accomplished student, but soon my grades began to reflect my unhappiness. My whole family began to worry as both my older and younger brother were both normal. My results from endocrinologist visits, bone samples, and blood tests at the end of my freshman year somewhat relieved my stress. I learned that my bone age was 3.5 years behind, simply, and I was trapped in a little boy's body trying to compete with 18-year-olds. The knowledge that an impending growth spurt would most likely end my suffering was an incredible relief. Too small would only be temporary for me. It was also a relief to make a group of friends who were accepting of my height. It began to dawn on me that I should be proud of the athlete that I had become, even with my shorter legs. Though my size difference had a tremendous impact on much of my first 2 years of high school, I began to recognize that there was one thing I could control, and that was my perspective on the situation. I realized that the challenges of being small had given me the opportunity to be mentally tough. Furthermore, the realization that my self-worth need not be intertwined with my athletic performance or with my high school persona was freeing and motivating. Fortunately for me, my size was only a temporary condition, but being on the receiving ends of taunts and unkind remarks during my first 2 years of high school had the effect of making me realize how unfair it is to judge a person based on his or her appearance rather than who they are. As a result of my own experience, I make an extra effort to be kind to everyone and withhold judgment so that I can get to know people for who they are, and I encourage you all to do the same. Thank you.